Hi, everybody. This is Dave Hodges. Welcome to Hodgeball Sports Analysis, where we take a critical look at sports around the world, focusing mostly on college and professional sports in the arenas of baseball, basketball, and football. And we have a kind of a thought-provoking question for you today, and it's one that I want to put out there. It's one that I'd like to get some opinions on. And people often like to debate and talk about who are the most influential players in a sport. And lately I've been reading some things in print, and they said, well, who are the top 5 football players? And I find myself disagreeing, but it's fun to talk about. So let's get your opinion on this after I present my views here on the top 5. Here they are. Drum roll, please. Number 1 on the list to number 5, and let's start with number 5. Number 5 is Walter Payton. And when he retired, what a great man this guy was. I mean, first of all, as great of a football player as he was, and he was tremendous. He retired as the league's most prolific rusher at that time. But the work he did in the community, the selflessness he practiced with his teammates, his caring and concern for his fellow human being was unmatched. What a great, great man. In fact, the Humanitarian Award for the NFL is named after him, and rightfully so. And yet this man was tremendous. Good pass catcher out of the backfield, had a knack for breaking tackles, and was very quick to the hole. And his cutbacks were his defining characteristic as a running back. I list him as number 5 in terms of the 5 best players. Number 4. Jim Brown, and I might have moved him up, but he only played 8 years. Jim Brown, tremendous, tremendous player. He easily had 5 years left, and he was running the course here at being one of the greatest rushers ever. The man was a human bulldozer, and I'm certainly glad when I played strong safety in high school, I wasn't afraid of most people. I liked to dish out the punishment, but if I saw that man coming my way, let's put it this way, I might have sidestepped and tried for an ankle tackle because this guy was a man's man. And he just played hard, didn't draw a lot of attention to himself. And I know some people will disagree with that, but I saw him as a man who stood by his convictions and his values. And today he'd be considered to be extremely moderate in his views, even though he was criticized for being too outspoken in the days that he played immediately following his retirement. I was really sorry to see the man retire when he did because I think he had a lot of good years, but he is my number 4 choice for the 4th most influential player in NFL history. Number 3, and really I have to confess, my favorite player of all time in the NFL, John Elway. Now, having grown up a Bronco fan and seeing the fiasco of the Bronco quarterbacks temporarily interrupted by just a couple. Charlie Johnson was okay, but I have to tell you, folks, it was a joke at quarterback until John Elway came along. John Elway was fantastic, but what made him number 3? Well, he had some unique skills, particularly in his younger days. This man could escape the pocket, and even though he was a big man at 6'3" and about 225, he could run, and he could run over people. And today, if they'd have had the zone read option in, he would have been tremendous in this. In fact, who knows what he'd have done with that kind of offense and his athletic ability. He was a great, great baseball player, and he was a good basketball player. This kid could do anything when he was in high school. He was a man's man, and he grew into a great quarterback, but here's why I put him as number 3. He took the Broncos early in his career to 2 Super Bowls. And yes, he did have some good receivers around him. He had the 3 amigos. They were talented. They were fast. But he didn't have a tight end. He didn't have a running back. And I think it's important to note, he won't win a Super Bowl until he gets Terrell Davis. Terrell Davis was a tremendous player. And had he not had his career cut short, I would have had to consider putting him in the top 5. But John Elway was a one-man team. Now, yes, they got destroyed in the Super Bowl when he appeared early in his career. But I'm telling you, this guy got him to the Super Bowl almost on his own, particularly in Cleveland, where they label it in Denver the drive, when a muffed kickoff put the Broncos at the 1 yard line, and they had to score in under 2 minutes to force overtime. And they joked in the huddle, well, we got them where we want them. And John Elway took him 99 yards for the winning score. And then he did the same thing and capped off the drive with a field goal to put him in the Super Bowl. His fourth quarter comebacks were legendary. When he used to come on the field, the Broncos would be down in the fourth quarter. People would just be chanting, it's Elway time, it's Elway time. He was a competitor's competitor. I admired him when he was in high school, and I loved him as a Bronco. He's my number 3 choice. Number 2, and I think you'll find this one interesting, Jerry Rice. Now, since I live in the Phoenix area, I live north of Phoenix, actually in the middle of nowhere, but I see a lot of Larry Fitzgerald. Love the man, and he very well might make my top 10. Larry Fitzgerald, fantastic, and unfortunately he was not surrounded by good teams, and only at one time in his career did he have a great quarterback, and then he had an average quarterback. Had Larry had really good people around him, he might have been in this list too. But Jerry Rice, number 1, Larry Fitzgerald, number 2 in receptions. Jerry Rice was just so dangerous, particularly in his younger years. He'd catch the ball in a simple slant pattern. You had to worry about him going to the house. You catch him on an out pattern, you had to worry about him going to the house. Every time he touched the ball, he was a threat to score. He had great hands, really good speed, but his craftiness at creating space and separation between himself and the defenders was really unequal to anybody that's ever played the game at that position. He is, without question, God's answer to the perfect wide receiver. And you're saying, well, Dave, you didn't put Joe Montana on the list. Well, I haven't revealed number 1 yet, but no, it's not Joe Montana. I would have put him in as a consolation at number 6, and I'll tell you why. Joe Montana was good. He had great teams around him, but he did not do what I think the best quarterback of all time did. Win 5 Super Bowls, and a couple of those were with teams that were good, but they weren't great. But he also had the benefit of having perhaps the best coach in NFL history. And so the number 1 influential, most talented player in my estimation in NFL history, and he also would get the overachieving award too, because I don't think the kid, when he came into the league, was that great of an athlete. I thought he was good athletically, but I didn't think he was great. But he's had just a marvelous, marvelous career, and no one would have foreseen this when he came in the league. Tom Brady. 5 championships, the ultimate competitor. I mean, he has a competitive fire in him. I think it's only matched by John Elway. But Tom Brady, absolutely fantastic competitor, extremely intelligent. Says he's going to play at a 45. I don't know if that's possible, but if anybody can do it, he can. And I think without question, he has been the most dominant, the best quarterback of all time. And there's been some great ones, and I would put him also as the best player of all time, because the game of football begins and ends at the quarterback position. Well, those are my choices for the top most 5 influential players in NFL history. I know you're going to disagree. We all disagree on topics like this. Leave your comments in the comment section. Hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you back here again next time. Don't forget to support Healthmasters with the coupon code CODE5.